everyone, welcome back to DevDash. My name is Amelia Roberts and I'm your hostess with the mostest. Today we have a special treat for you. We have two members of our data engineering team here at Pragmatic Works battling against each other to build something in Microsoft Fabric. Welcome Austin, welcome Manuel. Are you all ready for your very first DevDash?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Yeah. I am going to unveil your challenge for the day, and we are going to jump right into it. Austin is challenging Manuel in today's DevDash, so he will also be delivering another challenge once the timer starts. Here we go. Your challenge today is... let's see what our card has to say today. It says... ooh, data lake to a Fabric Lakehouse.
All right, Manuel, so I've given you access to a Fabric-enabled workspace, and you have your own lakehouse as well. And the goal is to go through and take these 6 files from an Azure Data Lake storage, take those files and get it into a lakehouse in whatever way you best see fit.
Only just moving them or anything?
We're going to have an additional challenge as well, where on the customer table, you are going to do a little bit of transformation. You're going to clean up some redundant columns and use the best available column names possible as well. So choose your tool to be able to perform that.
And you did make me you made me better than a viewer in this workspace, right?
You are an admin. Just want to make sure you have any sort of restrictions or anything like that.
Okay, sounds good, sounds good. Then I got an idea.
Are you two ready?
Ready.
On your mark.
Got my gloves.
Get set. Go.
All right. What route are you going to be taking there, huh? Any thoughts?
I think I'm going to go with a Fabric Spark notebook for mine. What about you?
Going the notebook route? I think I'm going to go more, I say traditional Power BI with a twist. I call Power BI with a twist, because I'm going to go more GUI, more user interface, maybe pipelines and data flows, my thought. As the problem was presented here about moving data, and there was a little bit of data cleansing that Austin kind of added in there, threw it into the mix. I thought immediately I'm going to go this Power BI route, and I'm going to use pipelines, and I thought I could make that dynamic, and then for the data cleansing, I would go ahead and use Dataflow. All kind of pretty comfortable in that realm of Power BI. That's my plan.
Good luck with that. There's some bunch of records in some of these tables, so you need to make sure it's processing quickly enough.
We will have to make sure. I think I'll be okay.
I like working with notebooks because ultimately it gives me the ability to go and use some of the different languages available there, PySpark, Spark SQL, Spark R, or Scala, and ultimately take advantage of Spark. And I'm going to make a shortcut as well, I think, over to the data lake. It's kind of the easier way for me to go get access to that. So I'm going to go inside of my data lake here really quickly, inside of my lake house, and make that shortcut so I can easily get access to those files without any sort of issue.
I think that's, actually the files things, that's a big item. I think at the end of the day, the fact that we're using a data lake, the magic answer probably is a shortcut across the way, but sources could become from so many places, so
that's true.
This will kind of I think my design panel will help any source. I think it will. You better watch out.
So I already got my shortcut created. It was that quick. All I had to do is go through, do a graphical user interface. I already had that shortcut created in some of my Fabric environment, so adding it to this lakehouse took really absolutely no time at all. So I got that already inside of my notebook, and I'm ready to go and start writing some code.
I'm actually connecting right now as well on my child pipeline, just kind of getting the info from that data lake. I'm going to go with access key, but I mean, we got options now. A lot of options they've given us to connect, so it's pretty slick. I was thinking also, the shortcuts is pretty awesome. If we were also messing around with other sources, like certain specific databases, they got the mirroring that's coming out too, right?
Oh yeah, they do. So if you're pulling over from like an Azure SQL database or a Snowflake database, or eventually at some point even like on premises, that would be awesome. But that'll be sometime in the future. But yeah, absolutely, that'll be the fastest way to go through and just replicate what's already in your environment.
All right, so I'm just going here, stealing the endpoints of the old data lake here. And get connected.
All right, and I used a just drag and drop inside the Spark notebook to go through, make my first part of PySpark code. So it is Python for Spark. I'm going to be using a little bit of SQL as well. There's some Spark SQL capabilities inside of the Python language if you have that library available. So personally, I went with PySpark. Number one is because when you drag and drop from the Lakehouse kind of metadata store, you can go and kind of easily just put that into the user interface of the notebook. It gives you access to Python right away. The other reason is I wanted to kind of go with some Spark SQL as well, because I have a little bit more of SQL background. So just some select statements, some froms, a little bit of filtering with where. So very comfortable doing that. So generally that's why I chose it. And I'm already working on my customer data frame, going through and trying to do a little of that curation we talked about. So I'm here really quickly working on this fast.
Working on that code tends to sometimes be a pretty fast way to go about it. I mean, the UI, nice, clean, easy, but sometimes I feel like I'm waiting a smidge once in a while. But it's going. Right now I got the source going. I'm gonna make the pipeline work for me a little bit. I'm actually gonna create and parameterize it. So I know you mentioned, I think 5 of those I need to move over. No real need for data cleansing. So I'm thinking I'm gonna do a parent kind of child design here, right? And just move them, but only have one copy activity. So I'm gonna make it a little more dynamic.
I like that.
All right, let's go here. Let's actually leverage that parameter. All right. Then also, gotta make sure the format looks good. When I initially decided, I'm going to do the pipeline, I know I want to go that route, and there was 5 tables in question, rather than creating, especially with the time limit of 15 minutes, right? Instead of creating 5 different pipelines, this is the beautiful thing with this user interface, we can make it dynamic. So this is something from, Data Factor, Synapse, anyone who's out in that world and enjoys it, that we can take something and make it dynamic for us. So in this case, one child and one parent. That's kind of what the idea was when I realized what I needed to do, because then it would really just drop down that design time and it would be able to process through everything that just needed to get moved. So that was my thought process with the pipeline. Let's go here.
Now, the big thing about working inside of the PySpark code here is knowing the language, right? Understanding how to go through, how to make sure you're going to be writing this to the right location. So what I have inside of my notebook right now is I'm taking this customer data frame that I've already gone through and curated with some PySpark code here using some Spark SQL. So I went through initially, connected just through the graphical user interface, went through and put that data frame inside of a temporary view so I could work with it with some SQL-like capabilities. And then at that point, I'm just doing a select statement. Select, picking my 5-6 columns here, doing some aliasing of my columns, pulling from that table. Also removing that customer key of 0. We don't really need that on there for final analytical, so remove that as well for yourself. And then now I'm just going to go be able to write this once I run this notebook. Now, we are going to go through and run this at the end of the 15-minute period we had here, so don't feel like you got to run this yet. We'll test our 2 different solutions at the same time and see whose performs the best after the end of that 15 minutes. I wanted to go more with a language route so that I'm not really constricted by any sort of, hey, you can only achieve these things with the user interface. I'm more functional, more freeform with the code.
Gotcha. So you've already got yourself connected and set and all the tables moving and cleaned up already?
One of them's cleaned up.
Okay,
got to go through and connect with a few more. So I got my main one. It's not that fast. It's development time. But ultimately, I'm going through. I got to write that data. I have the code. I haven't ran it yet. I have the code to write that data into the Delta format that's on the Lakehouse. It is the native format for working inside of a Spark Lakehouse. So making sure I'm writing to there, writing to my tables.
And actually, you bring up a good point. We're creating tables in the Lakehouse or files? Which are we going?
Let's go tables.
Go tables?
Let's go tables, yeah. Create the analytical solution. We're skipping parts of the medallion architecture. Want to just kind of see how quickly we can do this from just more of a fun perspective, right?
What are you thinking about speed here? Any initial gut reaction?
What do I think? Who I think's going to win?
Well, I guess that is the magic answer, isn't it?
I don't know. PySpark proves pretty fast.
It's powerful. I'll give you that.
Pretty fast. We'll see. Right. Now, the biggest thing is with the copy data activity, some of that transformation might be a little bit difficult, I would say, writing that to the Lakehouse.
Yeah, I got to do a little. I had to tap a little bit into the expression there because of the name of the files in there, just to make it look a bit cleaner. Since I got to deal with a little bit of transformation for customer, it's actually going to be I guess, almost like a two-part solution, right? I'm going to use data pipelines for tables 1 through 5, if you will, to just the move ones. And for customer, you have to remind me exactly how you want me to clean that one up. I'm actually going to go with Power Query Editor Online, the classic Dataflow Gen 2 experience. So I'm almost done with the parent here. I'm actually getting the array of files real quick. So I'm going to do that real fast. Let's go ahead. Gotta get those child items. And don't forget, when you're running this stuff, I love the fact that I can just go in here and I can run pieces of it, right? I can look at pieces of it. That's the one. I mean, you could do that, I guess, with the notebook too, right? Kind of taking stages. But I love it. I run a little piece, make sure I'm in the right track. I can leverage the output as I see fit. That's the idea here. Which is good. This is going to give me the full list, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. So I'll have to add a little bit of logic. Let me see this output real fast, because I can't include customer. Let me go ahead and grab customer. All right. We cannot have you. So I'm going to have to do a little extra here with the filter. So let's filter. Let's just filter out customer, because that's the one I'm going to throw in a data flow. We did have the customer table, which was brought up that I need to go ahead and I need to clean that. So I decided I'm going to go right now with a data flow. And that one is super familiar. Anybody who's done Power BI is basically the Power Creator Online. So I was like, you know what? Let's go ahead, let's take it, let's connect to the data lake. We'll clean it up super easy. We're talking about removing rows, removing columns, and renaming with a UI. Literally just clicking, pointing, and doing stuff. So that one seemed really easy, very natural, very organic to just use that as the answer for cleaning up dim customers. So that's what I ended up doing.
Yeah, the great thing about working in a Spark notebook is when you have that Spark session running and you have the ability to go through and get a preview of the data, you can go and you can access these variables. So I went through and I created this connection to my fact table here. I called it my fact_data frame. And now that I have that connection, that I've kind of brought that data in memory inside of my notebook, I can just easily go and write out that command to ultimately write it back to the Lakehouse. So I just say something like, I want to take my fact data frame, I want to write it in the mode. You have to do it in the overwrite mode. That is an important part of the feature. The other major thing is you have to write that in the Delta format. Make sure you remember that one, because that's something they're going to test you on if you are going through and looking to pass that DP600, the Fabric Analytics Engineer exam. That they're going to ask you, how do you write the Delta format there using PySpark?
And that really is a big change here, right? That's an important one, because I am taking that more traditional, I would say, Power BI route. We're in the Power BI service, right? It's home, it feels comfortable. So that's that new thing, right? With this Fabric, they're bringing so much more to the plate, like these notebooks in Python. So I guess at the end, we'll see if you're victorious or not. But it's probably an area could be good to learn a bit more in.
Absolutely. The great part about this is once I go through and I do have a PySpark data frame here I can work with, there is that data Wrangler option inside of Spark Notebooks. Let's go check that out for a few moments here, just to kind of show people what it looks like. So you go take that fact data frame, you want to go through and do some sort of operation to it, don't maybe know exactly the code language, you have that nice feature there available to you, as well as there's some nice Copilot integration. If you have the proper license inside of Fabric, you have to have one of the F64 licenses, but having Copilot there helping you guide your hand, write the code for you, ask how to go through and manipulate some of those things. You don't know exactly how to work with Python, know a little bit, but don't remember that one specific type of command, that can be a nice little helpful tool there, your Copilot indeed.
And that's the reason why I like going this route with the pipelines and the data flows, is because it is so UI driven. So it's really exciting to see that in more of a code driven experience like this, that they're bringing that to the table, right? That's great. It makes it a little bit easier to not feel as intimidated by getting into Python, because it's a little bit intimidating.
Absolutely.
All right, so I've got my array, I filtered it down to exclude customer. I'm going to be passing that into a for each. I probably could do a little better on the naming convention of these, but I got a for each. So I think I'm really just setting up this last pipeline. I got to call my pipeline, and I think that piece is done.
Okay. Now, when you run this, you're going to have what all scheduled at the same time? You're going to be using your parent pipeline. Is that going to call the child pipeline and then also the data frame? Or excuse me, the data flow.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes sense that once I finish that data flow, just to come back to this parent and just throw it in at the very end. Or, I mean, in theory, it's not really needs to be sequential. I could just make it run in parallel. Actually, I'm thinking about it.
Okay, that's a nice feature of pipeline as well. You can have some concurrency with how you run this.
Let's go here, and I think with this.
Amelia, how are we doing on time here?
Contestants, you have 3 minutes left.
Ooh,
goodness.
Okay, I think I'm just about ready to go, so just gotta wait here a few moments, and once everything's good, make sure I got all my code lined up right. We'll be able to run this thing and see how quickly we can process these records with this Spark. Now I'll tell you, I told you I had some data. Big data, some major records here on this fact table.
You know, I forgot to ask the size of the tables.
Yeah, this
How many?
is 50 million. A little bit over that, but 50 million records on this fact table. So
Okay.
we'll see how fast a copy data can process that versus a Spark notebook. It's be a great example.
Well, yeah, we'll see. I think it'll do okay. But we'll find out here in a second. That's what it's all about, right? We'll see. All right. Right now, I'm actually moved over to the data flow. So I'm actually connecting right now to customer, right? So we want, let's hook in right here. Let's go to customer. And I'm making my life a little easy because I am using the account key option here. And 3 minutes. All right. Get connected, and then what we want is customer. Let's find you. Customer, there you are. I think looking. I got a customer. All right, all I need is, you said, get rid of that customer 0.
Get rid of customer 0. Go through and only pull in like the main columns we need. I chose, just so you know, customer key. I chose the buying group, but I really aliased that as the customer column.
Okay.
Category column, the primary contact column, and the postal code column.
Perfect, I got them here. I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of all the other stuff, and let me rename this. I'm gonna just put this kind of spaces between them, make it look a little bit better. What was that alias on that buying group?
Customer.
Customer, nice and simple.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Contestants, you have 30 seconds left.
Oh my. Our lakehouse is DevDash. Put it in my lakehouse. I see somebody has renamed my lakehouse.
I did.
It's publishing. All right.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hands off.
All right. Hit and delete. I didn't get to add it in the parent, but the data flows run, so I feel good.
All right. Well, only one thing left to do. Let's run this. And
Let's
see what
run
kind of
it.
performance we get.
All right, let me go ahead. So my data flow already kicked off when I published it, literally when we hit the 0 mark. So that's running. So I'm going to kick off my parent right now.
All right,
So let's do its thing.
I'm going to start my Spark Notebook, run all on the Spark Notebook, and see how it processes.
And just for timing here, my data flow did finish, so that did run. It was just customer, smaller table. I was able to clean everything up using the UI.
Yeah.
You know, I have it in here. So that one went probably like 2 minutes, very quick. But the main one here, because he said it's the fact that's 50
Yeah, 50 million records on that fact.
So it's going through. The pipeline's going. I can see everything's kind of working. How's yours? What time are you on?
I'm about 26 seconds in. Took 25 seconds to start the session of my Spark Notebook, but now that it's running, it's already going through. It's already written the first table. It's going through and connecting with the city table now. This thing is absolutely flying. 2 tables done. It is going to execute in top-down order, so from the highest cell in my notebook to the lowest. The one at the very end is the one that does have the 50-minute record, so it will take a little bit longer, but we'll see a total time at the end.
Yeah, when you mentioned it, 4 mine done. The longest looks like it was 1 minute and 10 seconds for, let me see here, pardon me. Oh, no, it's 23 seconds, 29 seconds, 25, all pretty darn quick, but you're right. The fact is still going for me.
Yeah.
We're gonna see what that goes with.
All right.
Dataflow's already there. Let me check the Lakehouse. Let's see what we got going on the Lakehouse.
I can see my nice Lakehouse right here. Refresh should have those 5 tables, the dimension tables. Actually, I got the 6 table already, but it has not quite finished running yet, so it hasn't fully been loaded. But I do have all 6 tables. Just gonna take a few moments here for that all to execute.
I can say I've got all 6 as well, but you're right. It's structure only. Actually, 5 are done and good to go, but fact sales, we still wait.
Now we literally just wait for these to finish. Spark is a massive parallel processing compute that stores the data in memory. So when it comes to processing lots of data, like the 50 million records that are in the fact table, I'm going to be able to process that much faster, in my opinion, than going through and trying to run that with some sort of pipeline compute or even a Dataflow compute.
Finally finished.
Okay.
We have this 10 minutes, 30 seconds. So what was yours again?
2 minutes and 43 seconds, pulling back over that, so.
That's a little bit different.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess it's more of a convenience, ease of UI versus flexibility and speed.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, if you know Python, if you know some of the SQL stuff, just go through and use that. It's going to be a little bit faster for you, especially if you're trying to process this even at any sort of like incremental rate or multiple times per day or something like that. You don't want that pipeline running. Whenever it's running, it's taking up the compute resources of Fabric. So the faster that thing can process, the faster you're going to be off and able to use everything else.
I guess also the beautiful thing is you got a license for Fabric. You can pick and choose any and all of these things we used for certain scenarios. If you do have simple, small little dimensions like this, just do a copy activity. If you're not as comfortable with that Python work, then when you need to move that data, like that fact table, there's better options other than using the Dataflow or pipeline as well.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense.
Another DevDash has come to an end. Our data engineering team did fantastic today, but per usual, there's always only one winner here at DevDash. Contestants, you did fantastic, but this time matters. All right, and Austin's flow went much quicker than Manuel's. You still did fantastic.
Thank you.
Awesome job. We'll see you in the next DevDash.
DevDash was an awesome experience. Number one, I'm very happy that I won. I was able to beat Manuel with my Spark notebooks, and also had a lot of fun doing it. I like challenges like this, like trying to test things out. This is a great way to understand, hey, what's going to be and perform better for me, a Dataflow or a Spark notebook? Seems like in this use case, a Spark notebook won.
DevDash was great. I got the opportunity to come up here, work with the team. Unfortunately, I did end up losing overall, but at the end of the day, Austin's on the same team as I am. So if anything, I just know I got a powerful teammate there. We're tag team champions. But it's always good. It's always good to kind of compare and kick the ideas back and forth since Fabric is just so new and there's so many options in there. And I think it was really good to kind of see that, to kind of see all the different choices that are there as part of Fabric. But in this case, kind of the notebook route, the speed of it took the prize.
If you're interested in learning more about Fabric, or if you're looking to go through and potentially take the DP600, the Fabric Analytic Engineer exam to get certified within Microsoft, definitely check out CertXP as a good way to go through and learn, and has a lot of questions about what we talked about today. Should I use a notebook? Should I use a Dataflow? Should I use a pipeline? So this kind of content is going to be on that preparation exam. It's going to help you out a lot. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one.